Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, October 14. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. If you're watching on onespotmedia.com, a very special welcome to you. 2 Jamaica Defense Force soldiers are in custody after they were held with dozens of bags of ganja in a JDF vehicle. The St. Elizabeth Police and the Narcotics Squad from Area 3 say they mounted a spot check at gutters on the border of Manchester and St. Elizabeth around 9:30 last evening. They saw a JDF minivan and signaled it to stop, but the soldiers seemingly ignored the command of the police and continued driving. A shootout followed, resulting in the rear windshield being shattered. When it all settled, the police found 47 bags of compressed ganja in the green JDF minivan. The police have arrested the soldiers and seized the JDF vehicle. We will have more on this story later in Primetime News. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden made 2 stops in Broward County on Tuesday in a bid to woo voters from Jamaican and other immigrant communities. In Florida, nearly 10 million voters participate in elections, which are often decided by a mere percentage point. CBC Miami reports that Miramar's population is 46% black and is home to one of the largest populations of Jamaican Americans in the United States. We have more in this report.
The story on the Miami affiliate of CBS News said while Broward Democratic voters are eager to beat President Donald Trump, some are even more energized to turn out to support California Senator Kamala Harris, Biden's running mate, whose father is Jamaican. Antoinette Henry, Director of Corporate Relations at Dutch Spot Jamaican Restaurant, a company with several locations in South Florida, argued that the fact that she has a lineage means you're going to see a lot of Jamaicans voting, even if they were not doing so before. Part of Jamaica will be in the White House, she added. Florida has more than 974,000 people of West Indian ancestry, a Caribbean category that excludes Hispanic nationalities such as Cuban. Census figures indicate that total includes more than 300,000 Jamaicans and more than 530,000 Haitians. A conservative estimate for the number of Jamaican voters in Florida stands at 91,000 because many may not report Jamaica as their country of origin. Haitian voters are estimated about 115,000. Dan Smith, a University of Florida political science professor, told CBS Miami these naturalized citizens vote, adding there is a lot of mobilization that goes on in these communities. Laura Uribe, a PhD candidate in political science at the University of California, San Diego, has closely studied 5 immigrant groups in Broward County. She told CBS Miami that 77% of voters of Jamaican origin are Democrats, while 3% are Republican and 20% have no party affiliation. In the last presidential election, she noted 78% of Jamaican American voters turned out to vote, while the total turnout was about 66%. Senator Harris told a Caribbean Weekly radio show in South Florida recently that her favorite Jamaican dish was oxtail. Milton Walker, TVJ News.
In news back home, changes to the anti-gang law are underway. That's according to Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Paula Llewellyn. The revelation comes following yesterday's conclusion of the Uchense Wilson trial. The details in this report.
Yesterday saw the conclusion of the 19-month-long trial of the Uchense Wilson gang. The trial, which started in March 2019, ended with Uchense Wilson and 8 members of his gang being convicted in the Home Circuit Court. Initially, 24 persons were charged, but eventually 15 persons were acquitted due to insufficient evidence. During the trial, Chief Justice Brian Sykes raised concerns about some of the charges and the evidence that was necessary to prove guilt. This resulted in questions being raised about the anti-gang law. Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Paula Llewellyn, says while the case was complex and taxing, her team realized that there were complications with the anti-gang law.
We realized that the scheduled offenses, it was too narrow. For example, would you believe that receiving was not in the schedule? So we had several counts that would be tantamount to receiving, and that is why the no-case submission was successful. We have made recommendations to the committee in respect of enlarging the body of offenses. So I think that a review is being done there.
She believes it is the reason the prosecution and the defense teams faced many challenges during the trial. And it is against this background that the prosecution has made recommendations for the law to be amended. Speaking on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines on Tuesday, Ms. Llewellyn explained why her office had prosecuted so many of the offences under the anti-gang law. She dismissed the view that the police laid too many charges and suggested that the law needed to be properly tested.
I wouldn't say so, because the thing is, why we have the law that has come down through the ages, and this is a very, very new area. Very, very new area. So we were like pioneers, and the only way to know exactly how we are going to go and how we are going to enhance the efficiencies or look at what amendments may need to be made to the legislation is to be bold, and we were bold. So going forward in other investigations and other prosecutions, there has been some refinement. It's a new area, and it is evolving.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, at least one member of the legal fraternity is looking forward to amendments to the anti-gang law. Speaking this morning on Power 106 FM's Morning Agenda, attorney Alexander Shaw accused the police of using the anti-gang law to abuse their powers.
A number of persons are being charged with being a part of a criminal organization, and officers are aware that from once you charge persons under this piece of legislation, it is highly unlikely that the court will grant bail, because to satisfy certain conditions, it will be very difficult for the court, to impose conditions, and you find that the court is very reluctant to actually grant bail. And it is in this instance that I say that there is an abuse of power.
And we now take a break here on the Midday Newscast, but stay with us. More news when we return. Welcome back to the Midday Newscast. Thanks for staying with us. One of the two candidates vying for leadership of the People's National Party, PNP, is indicating that he offers a better leadership for the party's success. The two candidates so far, Mark Golding and Lisa Hanna, signed a code of conduct agreement governing campaigning. Mark Golding spoke with the media after the signing. The People's National Party has struggled with internal squabbles for years, which some say is at the root of their successive by-election and general election defeats. With another leadership election on November 7, the members, including the candidates, know exactly what is at stake.
Everybody in the party who I speak to is very tired of the lingering divisions that have plagued us over internal matters. I think it is generally understood and accepted that for the PNP to revive its fortunes, it has to unite.
So far, Mark Golding and Lisa Hanna are the only two members who have actively indicated their bid for the top post. But Mark Golding says he has been showing delegates that he is the better option for the future of the party by focusing on what he brings to the table.
In terms of my history in the private sector as a successful lawyer, one of the top corporate lawyers in the country, I've built two successful businesses. I'm a respected legislator. I have a lot of experience in parliamentary matters as the person who was responsible for the legislative agenda of the last PNP government. And also how I've operated in my constituency as the person who got the most PNP votes in the last election and increased my majority over what I got in the by-election of 2017 quite substantially.
Regardless of who is elected president, the party has a greater challenge of resonating with voters and making itself relevant again.
In terms of resonating with the people, I think that the People's National Party needs to really focus on developing a message that is relevant and will appeal to Jamaica of today, but which is in keeping with our core beliefs and our core purpose. As you know, we are the party that has always championed issues of social justice and building a more equal and fair society.
There is also the view that the party is no longer attractive to younger voters.
The PNP-YO in my constituency, South St. Andrew, is the strongest in any constituency in Jamaica. We have well over 100 active members, which has been something I have been nurturing deliberately and bringing the youth leaders into the mainstream of what we do. And that is something I think we have to do at the national level as well.
The other candidate, Lisa Hanna, left the ceremony before reporters got a chance to speak with her. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, is expected to complete its investigation into the reasons behind the hike in the prices for electronic devices, such as tablet computers, by next week. State Minister in the Commerce Ministry, Dr. Norman Dunn, says the CAC has been gathering information since the reports surfaced. Speaking earlier on the Morning Agenda program on Power 106 FM, Mr. Dunn encouraged consumers with evidence of price gouging to make a formal report to the Consumer Affairs Commission.
The best thing a consumer can do is, in fact, to make these reports. It is good that we have the reports so we can investigate if there are specific cases and or to see if this is widespread. So we're encouraging consumer. Once you go in the particular establishment, you believe based on what you have experienced before or you have seen before, and now you're seeing something completely different. Then yes, we're asking you to report it to the CAC.
It was reported that price gouging was one of the challenges faced in relation to attempts to get students online for classes. Devices which were being sold for $9,000 2 months ago now cost close to $15,000. The latest statistics on confirmed COVID-19 cases in Latin America and the Caribbean is still trending upwards. According to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resources Center, Brazil has the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases with a record 5.1 million. The Dominican Republic has the most confirmed cases among Caribbean countries with more than 119,000. Haiti and Jamaica have 8,887 and 7,989 respectively, while Guadeloupe has 6,908 cases. Now, Cuba currently stands at 6,017, Bahamas at 5,163, Trinidad and Tobago 5,127, and Suriname at 5,072 cases. Aruba has 4,229 cases, while Guyana has recorded 3,565 cases. Belize 2,585 and Martinique with 2,257. Other countries in the region with confirmed COVID-19 cases are St. Martin with 719, Turks and Caicos with 6,906, St. Martin 464, Cayman Islands 221, Barbados 210, Bermuda 185, and Antigua and Barbuda 111. Now, countries with which recorded less than 100 cases include St. Vincent and Grenadines 64, Dominica 32, St. Lucia 29, Grenada 25, St. Kitts and Nevis with 19, Montserrat 13, and Anguilla with only 3 cases. Meanwhile, locally, there have been 5 more COVID-19 deaths, pushing Jamaica's death count to 151. The 5 fatalities comprise of 2 women from Westmoreland, ages 53 and 58, 2 St. Catherine men, ages 72 and 75, and a 65-year-old man from Kingston and St. Andrew. The Ministry of Health says 4 of the deaths were previously under investigation. There were also 79 new COVID-19 cases yesterday. The country's coronavirus case count now stands at 7,989. The ages of the new cases range from 6 to 96 years. With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, high-speed internet and mobile data have taken on greater significance. However, the local telecommunications providers have struggled to meet the service needs of customers across the island. More in this report. Rural and remote communities have always lagged behind the rest of the country with internet connectivity and mobile network infrastructure. The COVID-19 pandemic has laid bare the huge digital divide. It's a challenge some residents of Logwood in Yala St. Thomas know all too well.
Since July 29th, we've had no internet service. I've made 33 calls on WhatsApp, and the responses, no one knows what's going on. The cables are stolen, the cables are burned, it's fixed. It's constant like that. So I think the staff that's working from home at Flow does not know what's going on.
Mr. May is also calling on the telecommunication companies about the issue of customer service, which he describes as unacceptable.
Whoever made the decision at Flow to use WhatsApp, because I've been down to the main office twice, they will not talk to you, there's no customer service. But how do you use WhatsApp when you don't have service to use it? And the people that need WhatsApp may have to make a phone call to the police, the doctors, or whatever in this pandemic. Flo, you're not set up for it, and it's really hurting a lot of people.
Most companies across the island have adopted the work-from-home model. The residents say this has only exacerbated the problem.
Since COVID, we've been working from home. Since July 29, the internet been down. Called Flo a couple times, even send emails. Nothing. No reconnection, nothing. They barely even want to basically help the situation. I called in multiple times, and nobody come, nobody do nothing.
She says for several months they have been without internet despite making several complaints. The return of reliable internet seems to be a long way off, but until then, this appeal.
We are getting bills $5,600 per month for the bill. And we cannot pay for what we are not receiving service for. So please, we are asking for them to see our concern and come and address this issue.
Despite being offline for months, residents say their telecom provider, Flo, continues to send high internet bills. In the meantime, students who are scheduled daily for online classes continue to be affected. A woman from Battersea in Mandeville, Manchester, has gone missing. She has been identified as 32-year-old Angela Gale. It's reported that Miss Gale went missing over the weekend.
On Saturday, I come by from Mandeville and come by Kingston downtown, doing little shopping with my baby mother. She have a mental problem, so I never have anybody to leave her with. So I bring her with me, come to Kingston, and on the way shopping, she drifted in Kingston, and I went to the Central Police Station to report it, her missing.
When she was last seen, Miss Gale was wearing a green and yellow blouse, blue jeans shorts, and a pair of blue slippers.
And I plead to the citizens in Kingston, anybody know her whereabouts, please contact the nearest police station if we get her to give her a medication for. She's a mental person attempt to the clinic in Manchester.
Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Miss Gale is being asked to contact her partner at 876-331-2296 or the nearest police station or Police 119. And it's time now for a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we'll look at COVID-19 and mental illness.
Well, anecdotally, we know that the incidence of depression and anxiety have decreased. Doctors are reporting. There haven't been a specific study in Jamaica, but worldwide the data is showing an increase in the depressive disorders, the anxiety disorders, and the post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm sure the University of the West Indies is doing research on that.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. Get enough sleep. Practice positive self-talk. Connect with others through technology. Exercise and eat well.
We go on to news overseas. Amid skyrocketing numbers in new coronavirus infections, the northern English city of Liverpool is now on the UK's highest level of restrictions. But there's already deep skepticism this partial shutdown will work to stem the rise in COVID cases.
Last call in Liverpool. Pubs must shut their doors for at least a month.
Why isn't London shut down?
Tougher restrictions were ordered after a surge in COVID-19 cases. But there is no socially distant farewell here. The proud Port City, birthplace of the Beatles, home to a championship football team, is the first to be classified as very high risk under England's new 3-tier COVID alert system. The government says the decision was driven by the data. The city has the highest number of coronavirus patients in the entire country. Local city councilman Paul Brandt agrees the rapid rise in infections is a problem, but his consensus with London ends there.
A rather toxic mix of arrogance and ignorance at central government level has led us to the sorry state that we're in now. I think the evidence is clear now that a short, sharp intervention 3-4 weeks ago would have avoided the mess that we're in now.
The country's top scientists agree. 3 weeks ago, a government advisory body suggested a circuit breaker, a short but complete lockdown to reduce case numbers. Their advice went unheeded by Downing Street. After months of controversy over the government's handling of coronavirus, many people here say they're running out of patience and they're running low on trust. There's always been tensions between the north of the country and the central government in London, but under the pandemic, the mistrust is growing.
News now in sports. Former Jamaica and West Indies spinner Nehemiah Perry says Sunil Narine is now on the brink of having his career derailed by reports of suspicious bowling action. Narine and his Kolkata team have expressed surprise at the West Indian mystery spinner being reported in the Indian Premier League last weekend. Jermaine Brown has the story.
Sunil Narine has been placed on a warning list by the IPL, which says the off-spinner would be suspended if he is reported again during the tournament. But Narine's Kolkata Knight Riders franchise say they and the spinner are surprised at him being reported at the halfway stage of the tournament because there were no concerns expressed by any match officials in the 5 previous outings prior to the Kings 11 match. The Knight Riders also sought to point out that Narine has played over 115 games in the IPL since 2012 and as many as 68 games since 2015 when he was last reported during the IPL season for a suspect action before being subsequently cleared completely by an ICC-accredited facility. Former Jamaican West Indies off-spinner Nehemiah Perry says because of Narine's checkered past with being reported, he could soon find himself sidelined from the game.
Come back from this is not going to be easy. If they call him again or if they report him again, it's not going to be very easy on Narine to come back from this one. You just have to keep your fingers crossed that he's resolute and that he know exactly what to do, and his coach has to then go back to the drawing board once again to see how best they can iron out this situation, because I still believe that he has a lot more to give as a player.
The IPL has not specified which type of delivery or deliveries Narine was reported for, and Perry, who played 4 tests and 21 one-day internationals for the West Indies, says the Trinidadian's action looks legal from what he has seen in recent times.
I still think that he's okay based on what I saw, and I'm looking at it from time to time when he's playing in all sort of league, that he's okay. But maybe they are at an advantage point where they are seeing that it's the degree of bending and harm is more than what it should.
This is the second time Narine's bowling action has come under the scanner in 2020, as the Trinidadian was reported during the recent Caribbean Premier League before being cleared ahead of the IPL. But Perry believes Narine can overcome this latest saga involving his bowling action, especially if he gets the needed support.
This is the time when he needs a lot of support from his players, his friends and families to rally around him and give him the maximum support that he needs, because it's not easy when you are called for throwing. It can also have impact on your confidence. You're not sure of what to expect and what's going to happen when you're out there in the middle.
Narine, who is the most successful bowler for the Knight Riders in the IPL, did not feature in their 82-run defeat to the Royal Challengers Bangalore on Monday. Jermaine Brown reporting for TVJ Sports.
And that's your midday news package. Remember, the primetime package is at 7 this evening. Please join us then. On behalf of the News Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.